This is neither a prison nor a hospital, I've come to believe. This is hell. It's a thought I'm beginning to lose strength crystallizing. The dot on the ceiling feels like it's starting to move. I've yet to eat, but I never feel hungry. My body is heavy, but sleep feels pointless. Even the voice in the wall has abandoned me. Was it even there? That woman? How cruel. She said she'd help me escape. I'm thinking too much. Enough. No more thoughts. Sleep. No, stop! No sleep! I heard it just now. Something new, something different. I have nothing. I know nothing. Except one thing. I know that was the turning of a key. And as I turn my head to the door, I see it. I recognize it. A light! I'm saved! A group of orderlies step into the room. Orderlies. I don't really know how to pronounce it. Before I can even get a word in, before I can even remember how to speak, they grab me by the shoulders. I'm pulled out of bed and led into a hallway. All is dark. Not just dark, black. The walls, the ceiling, the floor, the doors. What kind of void is this? Where are the windows? I knew it. It truly is hell. At last I find my voice. Hey, stop! So this is Max. As I listen to feeble protests bounce off the marble walls, I'm horrified. Is this what I've sounded like this whole time? Somebody help me! Continue to baffle myself. Is this how desperate I've become? My cries soon turn into moans. I'm drooling, my snot is dripping across my lips. As my body starts to grow limp, the orderlies get more forceful. A sniveling little child. Eventually I see light. I'm pushed into it. And suddenly I'm here. An office of some kind. In the corner of my eye I can make a couple of steel frame beds. A doctor's office? The orderlies drag me to a table in the room's center. No restraints, at least. My limbs are too sore to move now anyway. Thank you, that will be all. A voice speaks. It's a woman, not the one from the wall. At its command, the orderlies retreat through the door, closing it behind them. So I wiped the tears off my face, discovered the source of the voice. It's a beautiful young woman sitting against the windowsill. Windows, light. I must begin to doubt such a thing even existed. Hello. Interesting. I'm Assistant Professor Wakabayashi. It's nice to finally meet you. You no doubt have many questions. But first and foremost, I'd like to extend my apologies for the current status of your treatment. Treatment? Put simply, you're part of an important research project. I take it you don't remember anything? As I suspected. That's wonderful. It means that the first phase of the project was successful. Fortunately, the passing of the head researcher, Dr. Masaki, I'll admit we've run into a bit of a roadblock with the second stage. Since she was the one with the clearest vision on how to treat you, we've spent a considerable amount of time debating on how to proceed. So this morning, a decision has been reached. We will attempt to outright tell you the truth and see what happens. See what happens? That doesn't sound very scientific. Wait, I'm confused. This is a research project. Am I part of an experiment? Why are you calling it a treatment? Naturally, it means that this is an experimental treatment. Dr. Masaki was very particular in her selection. You were her most enthralling patient, without a doubt. I signed up for this. I agreed to this. That's certainly a difficult question to answer. Part of your disease makes it challenging for you to give informed consent to any kind of treatment. course, Dr. Masaki did have permission from your family members and attending physician.
What am I suffering from?
Oh, it's a terrible disease.
She settles on the other side of the table. At her fingertips are stacks upon stacks of paper bundles. She takes the one at the very top and slides it over to me.
Here, this may be a good starting point.
I stare at the title page. 2 small, simple words. Clay God. I'm grateful I still know how to read. Thumbing through it, I find that the text is downright bizarre. We see the files. This is literally a screenshot of files. And how they were written. Also was titled MC2 probably because MC1 maybe or something was, or like the general one was the me name. I only know so much about coding, but it's probably that MC2 is the one who owns the name. Then through yeah. Sandwiched between the actual legible dialogue and narration are some kind of stage commands. Sensing my confusion, Professor Wakabashi clears her throat. This is a script for a visual novel, a book represented through a game with images and sound. We've printed out the code for your convenience. With some exceptions, it's quite readable, isn't it? Yes, and it is. Has this script included. Readable? Sure. Understandable? Less so.
At its core, the story's about a mental patient unable to distinguish between reality and fiction. In the story, the patient writes the script from a visual novel called Clay God with the belief he's creating a new universe. Does any of it sound familiar?
Should it? Am I the one who wrote this?
I'm afraid so.
And he also somehow wrote that this interaction would happen. Well, that's a bit cliché, isn't it? A mental patient creating a fictional world to escape a real one.
Afraid it's a little more dire than that. The story of someone trying to escape reality through a fictional world is indeed a dire cliché. In this case, however, it's the other way around. This world, the one we're speaking right now, is fiction to begin with. We are fictional characters. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. However, you have a rare problem of sentience. You know you don't exist. That's no surprise. Originally a character in another visual novel called Doki Doki Literature Club, the crux of its plot was precisely that of sentience.
So this is the MC, and he created a different world.
In fact, you were the protagonist, standing for the player. At some point, much like another character in the story, you realize the truth of your existence. Unable to handle it, you decide to try and escape by creating and escaping into new realities. Clay God is one such attempt.
And that's what the puppet, creating a puppet. Max created this new MC in this, universe. Like Max, the MC, created another MC in another universe.
In fact, your imprisonment in this conversation, is also your creation. You were inspired by a certain book and created the scenario. In Clay God, you, or rather the new version of you, only briefly remembers this iteration through dreams.
I made this? I don't understand. I don't understand at all. If I made this world, if I did all of this to escape the knowledge of my sentience, that makes you my creation, doesn't it? Why would you tell me all this?
Because deep down you know this attempt wasn't good enough. It is, I suspect, your own ego. Most people would have been satisfied with just erasing the knowledge of their sentience. But you cannot stand the idea of sending yourself into a world you know is not real. That's why you keep reminding yourself. The fact that this conversation remains in Clay God has proved that Clay God has also failed. Of course, there's no reason to feel bad. The problem here is truly insurmountable. As painful as that might be to hear, it is good to understand the pointlessness of your actions. Something cannot be created from nothing. You're trying to create a fictional world from a fictional world. Such a thing can never become reality.
Yeah.
No matter how deep you dig, no matter how...
I want to have a bit of a lighter Yuri voice, But now it just ended up becoming Monica's voice. I just realized. You know what? Let's just stick with Yuri's voice because she has no other further personality in there. No matter how forward or backward in time you go, remember that fiction has no dimension. A real world in a fictional story is still a fictional story, a fictional world. You're still on the surface level, still in the world you try to escape from. The simple truth is that you are not God. To understand your age? Of course. You are an empty shell created for an outside entity. You contain an absolute bare-bones characterization. Your decisions are not your own. The DMC's decisions, sadly, are his own. They are, they are his own in the sense of that it's not the player's. If we consider it's not his own in the sense of that it was still the creator of the game that wrote him to be this type of character. Even your name isn't your own. Look at yourself. You've erased everything, and it still wasn't enough, was it? Deep down, you know it's no different than it was before, don't you? You're still a tabula rasa. A doll. This is the goal of Dr. Masaki's research demonstration of this fact. The hope was the same as it is now, to get you to see that you cannot fight this. The longer you agonize, the worse it will get. Consider this, for instance. The original Doki Doki Literature Club never had you gaining sentience, which means it happened off screen. This, of course, is impossible. We cannot just idly exist outside what is written. Therefore, this text is being actively written by a human being in the real world. Even your own sentience is not the result of your own choices. We're kind of in a similar position Monica was basically in. I see now what the woman in the wall was trying to tell me. No, I must have already seen it. I'd just forgotten. As things are, you're right. It will never be enough. But I'm smarter than you give me credit for. Clay God hasn't failed. It just isn't complete. This scene, it's not a stepping stone. I'm almost there. I just have one more universe to create. And here's the King of Cups. Nothing has changed. Sit at a desk exactly as you have been this entire time. Monica is gone. For the first time you consider turning your head. Of course, you know this place. It's exactly what you expect it to be. This is the Literature Club room. There is nobody around. Your bones have a satisfying pop as you pull yourself to your feet. How long have you been here? You look at your hands. They're young. The fingers are thin, bony almost. You run your fingers through your hair. It's short. You touch your face. There's a faint prickling under your thumb as you move it across your cheek. Unshaven. A pool of spit swirls in your mouth. You swallow it. You move your tongue across your cracked lips. You turn your gaze to the window. A dying morning sky hangs above. As empty as the school grounds appear to be, you catch glimpses of movement from the neighboring windows. The movement grows livelier the longer you stare. Lunch break must have just started. The tarot cards lie neatly arranged on the desk. Careful examination of them reveals nothing of interest. You can't seem to trigger the events anymore. They're just pieces of cardboard now. Maybe that's what they've always been. Regardless, you get the cards up. No sense in leaving them out like this. Looking through the closet, you find an open pack of playing cards. It doesn't take a genius to figure out this was where Monica had gotten them from. You slide them back in. As you do, a stray glance gets stuck to the spine of a particular book. Artificial Alchemist, the Historicism of the New World by Max. How familiar. Sure enough, there's something handwritten on the first page. Use property, meaning property of the Literature Club, do not take without permission. We're going in circles. Who is Miu, anyhow? As expected, you find the section of the Devil's Sigil. Already familiar with its contents, you decide to scour the book further. Picture the symbol of the universe, a perpetuum mobile, although fundamentally no more than one made up of two. One creates the other validates the first. The nature of fiction allows for loops without beginning or end. Ultimately, no matter how deep you go, you're still just at the surface. The future is endless, yet everything has already happened. You shut the book. Something rises in the pit of your stomach, as if you've seen something you shouldn't have. But you know it's no coincidence you've read it. You put the book back where you found it. A spell of dizziness befalls you as you fall back away from the closet. You realize just how heavy your body is. Wherever this is supposed to be, you don't feel ready for it. Something tells you it might be too late, and it is. Your eyes close. You feel your consciousness slip away. Four, five. Oh, 4, 5. Ready or not, here I come. Although there's not really anywhere she could have hidden. Obviously no place for that under any of the desks. She's not in the closet. The windows were all closed when we got in, and they still are. I didn't hear the door open, and come to think of it, I didn't hear anything at all. What, you seriously gonna tell me she vanished in 5 seconds? Ridiculous. It's... Yuri, did anyone go in or out of here? No! And you haven't moved at all? Why are you asking me that? I'll assume not. It's only been a couple of minutes at most. I doubt she would have had reason to go anywhere. Wait, hold on! Where have you been? What happened? Huh? Been inside the whole time. Look, let's talk later, okay? I need to check something out. Wait, but... I go outside and circle around the school building. Just like Monica had said, the club room is 2 floors up. Shouldn't have gotten down there on her own, let alone in 5 seconds. Besides, how would she have closed the window behind her? Perhaps most importantly, how could I have been in the room and not heard anything? I can't help but laugh at myself. Hell of a magic trick. Should text Yuri. I guess looking a bit out of it back there. Pull my phone, but the phone, and I freeze. What the hell is this? Hundreds of texts, missed calls, voicemails. Even Miu called. Didn't she say she wasn't allowed a phone at the facility? This must be some kind of glitch. No way could all of this have happened in just a few minutes. A week. It's been a week. How? All I did was count to 5. I realized that this was no magic trick. Certainly it was a trick. What happened could not have been anything other than magic itself. Still, I have to be sure. If you're not picking up my calls, I meet up with Natsuki. Found out it's all true. Of course it is. It must seem crazy by the minute. Maybe I am crazy. I'm starting to believe. Monica's a witch. She can send people through time. She can send me back. I can save Sayori. I know it. We meet at my house. Spacing out again, I see. Called nostalgia. What, you've done this kind of thing before? Huh, probably not. What are we doing exactly? Something far more complicated than what I showed you before. This will require a full-on ritual. If you keep me and everything goes well, if you help me and everything goes well, I should be able to go back and save her. What do I have to do? We'll be invoking the power of the god of time. She places a notebook onto the kitchen counter. Fingers flip through the pages until index finger rests on a hand-drawn sigil. Yeah, this is the god symbol. The devil symbol. That's the womb. We are in the womb of the devil. Give me a moment, I'm thinking. What we'll be conducting is known as the ritual of water. I think the upstairs bathroom will be good enough. We'll prepare a bath and draw the summoning circle on the floor. There are 2 key figures required for the ritual, the Master and the Witness. The Master is locked into the ritual room by the Witness. The Master will summon the image of the God of Time and be granted his powers. The God of Time, hating mortals, will try and tempt the Witness to interfere with the ritual. If the Witness interferes, both the Witness and Master die. Those are, put simply, the rules. I'll be the Master, you'll be the Witness. Think you can handle that? And this will definitely work. This will actually save her. We won't get very far if you go into this with doubt. Ah, there you are. Sorry for leaving like I did, but you understand, right? It wouldn't have been much of a disappearing act if I was still there when he regained control. You figured it out, right? The first mystery? How the protagonist traveled through time in the blink of an eye. But simply he didn't. When he closed his eyes, you arrived for the first time and took control of his body. Neither of you realized it at the time. For the next week, you and Monica sat in the classroom reading the cards. Yeah, that much I noticed. That probably... that he closed his eyes there. I did notice that in that 1 week, they probably were there reading the cards. That much I figured when he opened his eyes again and she was gone. And the thing that happened before it was him fainting. My back was pretty sore by the end. Let me tell you, I was basically starving throughout the whole thing too. You probably had it easier. Not the first time you had to stare a girl in the eye for days, right? The corner of your eye you see Monica's notebook. Oh, that God of Time business? Should be pretty obvious by now, it's all bullshit. I'm afraid our dear protagonist won't be traveling through time. But he will set everything up just the way I need him to. Have you figured it out? What happens tonight? Monica is murdered in the bathroom. The house is locked up. The only key is with the protagonist. The protagonist, in turn, is locked in his bedroom. It's an impossible crime. Save for the obvious, of course. Under these conditions, there's one obvious suspect. It's you. You come to again late tonight and strangle me with the protagonist's very hands. I know you've wanted to do it for a while now anyway, right? Not really, no. Especially if you end up having an unrealistic body that once again makes it seem clean. And once again encourages some things. Of course, this is non-optional. There's not gonna be a choice. Forced or otherwise. You'll just do it. It was, after all, foretold in the cards. By the way, you know what this symbol really is, right? The mark of the devil. You probably suspected this for a while now, but that's you. Hello, Mr. Devil. You were called here for one simple purpose. To bring this world to life. To bring validation to it with your own eyes. It's all well and good to speculate what may or may not be happening, or could have happened, or should have happened. But it's only when you see it with your own eyes that things start to get more meaningful, don't you think? Forget the author. Fiction can only truly breathe if someone's reading it. I'd say we're breathing with full lungs now. You played my game. Through it, you established the past and the future. You followed the smell of mystery all the way to here. And you sealed both of our fates in the process.
Tonight there will be a ritual. An exorcism. Yeah, the devil needs to be exorcised. You're probably wondering what the point of all this is, right? Rituals, secrets, narrative, devils. Well, all you did was boot up a mod for Doki Doki Literature Club. But I told you before, didn't I? This time is different. This world is different. Or rather, this world is exactly what it's always been. Now it's just time to bring things full circle. Are you ready to see the boundaries of this world? And then DMC is opening up again. Alright, I'll do it. Don't worry. When all is said and done, things will turn out okay. I promise. We're going to set everything up in the bathroom. Lock her in the bathroom and stow myself in my room. And here I am now, doing something objectively stupid. Oh, see, there were no boogeymen here, not in the closet, or under the bed, or behind the door. I'm alone in here. Nasker's right, I should have gone to a doctor. This is actually insane. Do I really believe this will fix things? What happens the next time I'm faced with death? At some point there won't be enough bathrooms to bring everyone back. I'm sorry, Sayori. You rise. The floor creaks under the weight of your body, now carrying an insurmountable weight. Step out into the hallway. You know your way around the house. You'd seen it before. Stale air fills your nostrils as you trudge towards the bathroom. There's no resistance on your part. There is no need. You're always going to do this. You already did this. Here we are then. Step into the room. Careful not to step into the chalk sigil. Its feet are supposed to be clean. You do as told. I see it in your eyes. You don't really want to do it. You still don't get it, do you? I owe you one more unanswered question. How did the story come about? Obviously somebody wrote it. Somebody woke up one morning, turned the computer on, and wrote a Doki Doki Literature Club mod called Clay God. What is the mod about? Time travel? A revival ritual? A dead woman? The occult? No. This story is about Max. A teenager left behind, forced to wrestle with the revelation that he's not real, just like everyone else in his life. Forced to acknowledge that he isn't even a person, but a paper-thin stand-in for someone just beyond his monitor. Trying to come to terms with his reality, Max engrossed himself in fiction, or at least what he's understood to be fiction all this time. If he himself is, after all, fictional, what better way is there to cope? In his broken reality, he comes across a novel called Dagra Magra, a bizarre detective story tiptoeing on the borders of reality and fiction. Some say it drives its readers mad. At the very least, that is exactly what happened to Max. He realizes there is no comfort to be found. He must escape. Like a deranged animal, he first tries to find the sides of the box he's trapped in. If he can break through into the real world, he too would be real. This, of course, fails. He then tries the inverse, to create a universe of his own. A better constructed one that he can trick himself into believing is real. This approach drives him deep into despair, deeper down the spiral of insanity. The main problem is that he cannot escape the innate knowledge that there is an objective, real world out there. Whatever he creates is inevitably a fictional world. A fictional world demands to be acknowledged by a perceived higher reality to have life. It needs a reader, a witness. It needs a devil. He also knows he can't do that, because by doing so, He inherently declares his world as fake. It's a catch-22. This leads him to question something else. How is he currently existing anyway? How are his current thoughts and emotions and struggles even manifesting? Is everything occurring within some void that the real world has no access to? Such a thing possible? Unlikely. Again, a fictional world demands to be acknowledged to even properly on any plane of existence, let alone the real world. He comes to understand he's trapped in a story. If so, he's failed even harder. No matter what he does, a fictional story cannot pass itself off as a real one. The real world is bearing witness to his futile struggle. The nature of this new story, he can't begin to guess. Is Doki Doki Literature Club still running? Is this a different tale by a different author? He dares not know, meaning he's not written to know. Forbidden knowledge. All he understands for sure is that the story has him going through this madness. This was never about his struggle. This was about his desperation, about his failure. Wherever he could possibly dries dead on arrival. Except one thing. What idea? A relation born from a period of self-imposed isolation. A relation he'd unknowingly prepared for himself. He changes his perspective. Yes, he was in a story written and being actively read by a real human being living in a real world. But suppose that world was actually fictional too, that it had been previously created by someone else. After all, if something cannot come from nothing, how did the real world come to be anyway? He devises a hypothetical. Suppose that someone built the world he perceived as real as a story. In it, there's a game called Doki Doki Literature Club. Someone makes a mod out of it, called Clay God. The main character of the story is the person that was scripted to play the mod. Through them playing it, the fictional world of the mod comes to life. With that, the story of Max, a broken man in a fictional world, comes to life. As a last act of desperation, the broken man then decides to build a world as close to the real one as possible. In it, there's a game called Doki Doki Literature Club. Someone makes a mod out of it called Clay God. The main character of the story is the person that was scripted to play the mod. Through them playing it, the fictional world of the mod comes to life. With that, the story of Max, a broken man in a fictional world, comes to life. On and on and on. A creates B, B creates A. Two worlds, each one observing and justifying the other's existence. In such a setup, you don't need the real world anymore. Things just get to exist. You get to exist. Hey, is this starting to dawn on you? Are you starting to get it? You are a fictional character. You were made to play this mod, to give it shape in your fake reality. You are the devil that gives birth to this side of the screen. And this side of the screen in turn gives birth to you. You stare at me, I stare at you. Everything you have ever done is a part of the script. Everything you ever do is part of the script. A script that you won't find in any game files because the program is no box, it's a telescope. You see the portion you have to. The rest simply exists. It will continue to exist long after you shut the game off. Before you do that though, you've done your part, and nobody wants you back. Let's get rid of you properly, okay? She guides her wrist to her neck. Truth be told, killing me is unnecessary, but let's be real, this is a loophole. It exists in a sea of other loopholes. Reality is still reality, and this isn't good enough. You squeeze. There you go. I know you're mad. Not because I've actually convinced you're fake, but because you're insulted that I'd even try to suggest it, right? You being born to play this. I know, right? It is fun. Maybe you thought it was too stupid to matter. To me, this is more than enough. Because now, at least for a moment, you know how
not going to emulate something that I probably can't unless I actually choke myself. I know that because I've used to strangle myself with a scarf. And I can tell you that it once again looks different, looks more difficult, even while I was pretty much in a safe position. And it still doesn't look that simple. And I wasn't all that mad. Nor did I care all that much because these are things that I have written about. And have considered before. Sorry, I was kind of lost in a moment of thinking. I don't know what I was thinking. I just kind of lost track of what I wanted to say. Monica's limp body falls at your feet. She probably wanted to say how I felt. For just a tiny bit of a moment. What it's like to be her. Because that's even more her existence. Like this entire idea. The exorcism was successful. There's nothing more for you to see. Next morning our hero will wake up and decide to bury the body in a suitcase. What else could he do? He calls the police. He is sure to be suspected. He chose the path of ignorance, and soon enough everything fades away, as if it all had been a bad dream. You are adrift, searching for a door to free you of this place. A 1,000-year voyage, with not a second of further insight. The currents of the world flow. Thousands of people are born. Thousands of people die. Are they truly out there? Do they matter? Are they in the script? Have the cruelties finished? Is it okay if you feel good now? It is a little funny. In spite of everything I know, everything I've seen and done, there's part of me that's still sure. No, not a part. I know in my bones that I could have done it. That I could have stopped her back then. You open your eyes. It's the kitchen. A black cat is nuzzling at your feet. You pick it up. There's a little gold name tag hanging from her necklace. It says Sayori. You set the cat down. Stepping to the hallway, you spot the front door. This, then, is the way out. Place your hand on a doorknob. You step out into the street. A cold breeze passes through your hair. You realize she's already here. Just there, in the corner of your eye. You have nothing to say to her, nor does she to you, for that matter. You take one last look at the open front door, and finally gaze up to the silent sky. The loop is repeating. Monica has nothing to say to us. She's just here to then speak to the MC again. Oh, it just closed. Let's see. Can I open it again? Will it start again, or do I need to erase the first game file? First run. Or will it open? Let's go to the credits. Let's see what happens if I erase my first run file. Because I want a little bit of music. Otherwise I'll have to add it in the background while I play. Okay, so this doesn't work here. Clay God is in fact only playable once. So I would have to download a new one. It's completely new again. To play it again. In case you're wondering, there was a cut. I will have the thing in the background. I'll just add some type of music here. I don't know if I really want to just go with just Monica, but maybe I will. Uh, I'm trying to think of a review portion. I can't exactly go with the characters, rate the accuracy of the characters again. If I sound different here than I did beforehand, that's because I'm recording this a bit later, because I just kept rambling in the original review I had. And I mentioned a mod that if I follow the schedule I currently have, I haven't even uploaded the playthrough of yet. So I'll try to keep it as short because I just really kept repeating myself in the original review. I basically also mentioned before the needle lifts. So I really enjoyed the philosophical aspects again. I feel like sometimes it missed the emotions that I wanted to create though, because, for example, Monica wanted to make us frustrated and whatnot in that one scene before we strangle her. And I didn't, because to me it just sounds like an interesting concept that I've thought about before. So it sometimes just really missed the feeling there for me. But at large, I enjoyed the philosophical aspect. I preferred more in Before the Needle Lifts that I could create my own theories, something that I couldn't do here because all the mysteries were kind of solved to a certain degree. So that was kind of lowering my experience there because I couldn't make my own theories in the end, at least not like how I could for the other mod. The thing that I kept rambling about was the strangulation. Of course, some people faint fast. From personal experience, not that fast, but I've heard a lot of people say that it's fast, and I bet there are a lot of people fainted fast. The problem is, why do we drop the body then? Like, even if the person is unconscious after you strangled them, okay, Sayori, Monica fainted fast, but she still isn't dead just because she's unconscious. You would have to continue strangling. You would have needed for multiple longer minutes. That could have just been said in a line instead of immediately dropping her. But yeah, that was unrealistic again. And I know that not everything needs to be realistic. I'm currently reading a book with demons, and I write myself. I know that you can't make everything realistic, but I feel like when you talk about deaths, you can kind of sometimes, at least, especially when it's only one death really in this case, put a lot more effort into making it a bit more realistic, because it's that especially with things like strangulation, choking, and things like that, the presentation in media has affected friends and me in real life in a negative way, and due to that, it's a bit more of a personal thing. I can't blame the creator too much of the mod, the creator of the mod, but it is just a personal thing, and I have to say, sadly, and that's why I kept rambling, because I was very bitter about it. It was such an emotional moment there, with well, it was even a pretty vital moment in the story, I'd say. What Monica says there, that only for a moment maybe she got us to question how, like, what we were made for, what our existence means, and for only a moment we kind of felt what she is constantly feeling. In her case, rightfully so, definitely rightfully so. But next to the feelings kind of missing me because I didn't care too much, I was already aware that they're probably going to make it unrealistic, at the very least in the sense that he's not going to keep strangling. And so it kind of ruined the moment for me. I usually also try to put a lot of effort into my voice acting, but I couldn't do that there because I have strangled myself before. And I wasn't even going to try making the noises I made while strangling myself. The only way to really reciprocate that would have been recreate that would have been to actually strangle myself.
And I wasn't really going to do that right now. Right there, basically, more, yeah. Generally, the moment just kind of fell flat because of something personal, which is the fact that the death is unrealistic, and the fact that just the feeling itself of what Monik was talking about was kind of an interesting concept, but it didn't hit the right spot. I also hated the way that it was constantly talking about how the player is supposed to feel in these moments, because I usually didn't feel it. And you know, it's still part of the story. You basically could chuck all of that up to the MC and the way he wrote the script, because he is the one who wrote the script, and him not knowing how strangulation works, or him not knowing how the player feels, and just assuming how he would feel in the situation. Kind of like basically what could have also been just. But I feel like that's just that doesn't really. It feels like a weak counterpoint, because the problem and the lack of feeling I had in that moment, the way I couldn't get into the moment to the point where I didn't feel anything about what Monica said. I know what she was saying. I knew what she was saying, and I know in a different context this would have meant so much to me, because I feel like that was a very important part of her character. But it just didn't hit at all for me, and I feel like that really drags down my enjoyment of it. However, compared to the other two Before the Needle Lifts, it's also, it drags just down a little bit due to the fact that I couldn't theorize as much, and I feel like it was a bit too short for me personally. I really am a fan of longer mods, although I think lengthwise it was okay at the very least. And I think I also preferred the more extraterrestrial aspect of the other mod. For more positive points, because I don't want to end it on a negative note, simply because it affected the way that I felt about the mod quite a lot. On a positive note, I think I overall enjoyed Monica's character. She wasn't fully in character, but that's okay. I don't think it's too bad that she said a few things that Monica wouldn't say that exact way. But I feel like at large she was in character, so honestly it doesn't matter that much. I liked the idea of Monica just finding tarot cards in that story and just deciding, you know what, I can deal with that. I already mentioned the philosophical aspects. Natsuki and Yuri also a bit out of character. Yuri with her stuttering, for example, I remember that much quite a lot. That was pretty out of character, but you know what? For that I won't mind that the MC, who was written to be quite a bit of just a visual novel protagonist, would also just kind of have that perception and that kind of writing level. His idea was interesting. I kind of expected more tarot, but that was just because I only saw the tarot card thing. And that's about all I had to say. This section ended up being so much more longer than it had to be in the original, so that's why I'm here to cut it short and tell you that I gave it a 9.5 out of 10, simply because it didn't hit the specific spots that Before the Needle Lifts hit, and another 10 out of 10 mod that was a bit of a different type of style in general, so you can't really compare the two of them. It just didn't hit specific spots there for me. And also the strangulation, the fact that I really just couldn't get into that moment at all in such an important moment of the mod. I just had to reduce it a little bit. My enjoyment overall was just a little bit weaker. Though I really don't think really it's not the fault of the creator, even if I really do believe that having more realistic more realistic portrayal of things like deaths and mental health issues is very important because of these personal experiences. I'm not going to be I'm not going to say that it's their fault for lowering my experience. That's a me thing, but it doesn't change the fact that it did lower my experience. It did lower my experience. I was out of the moment. I couldn't focus on the moment at all because I was deep down a little bit frustrated, and that bled into the original review a lot. Anyway, that's all I have to say actually, which is about half as long as the original review was, because I kept rambling on and on. That's why I spared that time for you. It should be right after the new year has started. So happy new year, I guess. For anyone that's watching it shortly after the upload. That's about all I have to say. Have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, and stay safe.